Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Dani and this is my YouTube channel. If you're returning, thank you so much for stopping by. In today's video, I'm going to be giving sort of a tutorial how-to on how to play one of my favourite two-player plus card games. The game is called Shithead. I know, a bit rude, but the PG names I googled, and you can also call it Karma, Palace or Shed. I don't use those names, I use the rude name because the whole idea is the loser is the head. Yeah, like I said, this game is absolutely ideal for 2+ people. I think it's really great if there is just 2 of you and you're looking for a card game that genuinely is really fun to play with a small amount of people, then this is the one for you. If this sounds like the kind of video that would interest you, please keep watching. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And if you don't already subscribe to me, go and hit that subscribe button. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Before we get started, I just want to give a big shout out to my mum who happily helped me with this video. I taught her how to play the game and then we played it. For the purposes of this video, she was a model student and picked it up really quickly, but it's also a really easy game to learn. And I'm just a great explainer. I'm great at explaining how to play the games, hence why I keep doing these tutorials. So the aim of Shithead is that you don't want to be the last person left with any cards. You want to get rid of your cards quickly, and the person who is left with cards at the very end is Shithead. You get to call them Shithead for, you know, the rest of the evening, the rest of their life. It's up to you. So it doesn't really, if you're playing with more than 2 people, like three or plus, it doesn't really matter who comes first or second. It's really all about who comes last, and there's like a loser, there's no real winner, although I find it incredibly satisfying being the person who wins. But that's just the rules. Also, like, can we just take a moment to appreciate my friends playing cards, which you'll see in the overload, the video overlays. They are so cool. My friend Grace got them for me for my birthday, and look, all the cards are so cute. You got Joey. Oh yeah, Phoebe being queen. Bit of Chandler. Oh, they're just really fun. Like, I absolutely love them. Oh, the best of the Jokers. Janice the Joker. How great is she? Anyway, there's enough of that. What you want to do, like with any game of cards, the golden rule is you want to get your cards out of the pack, count them all, give them a good shuffle, make sure you've got 52 without the jokers. In this game, you don't need jokers, so just remove those. Although I know there are some variations of rules that do include jokers, but in my rules, you don't. Then what you want to do is you basically want to deal out 3 cards in front of each person. So 3 cards in a row, face down, and then on top of those 3 cards in a row, deal out 3 cards face up, and then deal each person 3 cards each to have in their hand, and then you put the rest of the deck in the middle of the table. The cards that you've actually got in your hand, so those 3 cards that you dealt at the start, they're going to be what you use for the majority of the game, so don't worry about the cards sort of laid out in front of you for the time being. Just focus on those 3 cards. You're just going to basically use those until you've kind of gone through the whole of sort of the leftover pile in the middle, and then we can move on to the cards in front. What you want to do with the cards in front though, before you actually get into playing the game, is you need to have your strongest cards laid out there. I'll explain to you in more detail what sort of a strong card is and isn't, but basically you look at the cards, the 3 cards that you've been initially dealt, and then you just kind of swap them with your 3 in front to make sure, yeah, you've got those strongest cards. So kind of any of the special cards that I will take you through, which is like 2, 3, 7, 10, or just the highest cards in your deck. So yeah, before you get into the game, do those swaps. Oh, and just to point out, in this game, ace is high. So ace is the highest card that you can get, and 2 would be the lowest. Well, 4 is probably the lowest because 2 is special, but we'll come on to that. The person with the lowest card in their hand will start. So the cards in your hand here, the person with the lowest one will start. That will usually be a 4 because 2s and 3s are special. Special cards don't really count towards the lower card, so usually a 4, 5 or 6 will be the lowest card that someone has, and they kick off the game by placing their lowest card in the middle of the table and then replenishing the card that they've laid with the cards sort of in the middle of everyone. I've got a 6.
Go on then.
You don't have lower?
No.
Then in terms of sort of general gameplay, you go around the table in clockwise order like you normally would, and you take it in turns to lay a card, multiple cards, depending on wow. You take it in turns to lay 1 card, multiple cards, depending on what you have in your hand, and the kind of general rule of thumb is that you need to lay something that's the same as or higher than the card in the middle. So for example, if you've laid a 5, the next person will either have to lay a 5 or higher. It doesn't have to be sort of the next number higher, but just a card higher or a special card. If you don't have any card to play, if you've got no special cards, if none of your cards in your hand are higher, then you need to pick up the pile in the middle and add them to the hand that you're holding. So whether that's picking up 2 cards from the middle or the whole deck that's been laid down, you have to pick them up and they become your cards, which is going to set you back from winning. So we're still on the ace. Oh no!
Why do you never pick it up?
Of course, there are some real specific rules to address, which I'm going to go through now. So the first one being, you should always have at least 3 cards in your hand. So as soon as you've laid a card and you've got, that puts you down to 2, you need to pick up a card to make sure you've got 3. If you've ended up laying 2 cards, which can happen because you can play sort of like, if you've got, 3 5s, you can lay them all. If you've got 2 6s, you can lay them both. So if you've got kind of cards, 1 of a kind, 2 of a kind, 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, you can lay those all at the same time, which would obviously then mean that you replenish the amount that you laid, unless you've got more than 3 from picking up. If you've got sort of 20 cards in your hand, just keep playing, don't pick up until you get back down to 3. If you have a card to play, you have to play it. You can't sort of, not that anyone would do this anyway, because the whole point is to get rid of cards and not pick up cards, but say you've got like, a really great card in your hand that you don't want to get rid of quite yet, and you're like, oh, I'll take the brunt of picking up the cards. You can't do that. If you can play, you must play. No bluffing here. As I said, you play the card in sort of ascending order, so you have to keep going higher and higher. But there are kind of special cards to help you out along the way. If kind of you get to higher numbers and you don't have anything higher, you might have one of these special cards that will help you out. As I kind of mentioned in the start, everyone has their own kind of rules and own special cards. I think a couple of these are general across the board. Some people have other ones. Some people don't use the special cards that I use, but these are just my personal rules, how I enjoy playing. And I will go through those now. So first and foremost is a 2. A 2 is basically, I guess, kind of like a joker. It could go on absolutely any card that's down there already, and it essentially starts the deck, the deck down there back from the start again. So obviously if a 2's down there, you can play any other card on top of it. But yeah, so like if you get to an ace, you've got no more cards, but you've got a 2, you can play that, and yeah, restarts the deck. A 3 is very similar to a 2, where you can play it on absolutely anything, but the only difference is it doesn't restart the deck. It counts as an invisible card. So say you have a 3 and you play it on an ace, the next person will have to go higher than that ace and pretend that the 3 is not there. A 7 is also a special card. It's a bit of an annoying one. It doesn't feel that special because you can't play it on anything, as in you can't play it on anything that's 8 or higher. You can only play it on 2, 3, depending on what it's on, 4, 5, 6, or another 7. It just means that the person going next has to go 7 or lower, just for that one go only, and then sort of gameplay continues as usual after that. So say I lay a 7, you basically put a 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, or 10 on it, and I'll explain what a 10 is in a moment. 10s are probably my favourite card of the game, and you can lay them on anything as well. They're really great, and it basically burns that pile that's down there, so that you basically completely remove it from the game. So say you've got a big fat pile, you've run out of cards, but you've got a 10, you put the 10 and it removes it from the game. Basically means no one's going to have to pick it up. But yeah, it's a really good card to have. And I guess something else to mention in terms of special cards, anytime there's sort of 4 of a kind down in a row, it also burns the pile, much like a 10 would do. So they don't all have to be played at the same time, they just need to be consecutive. So say like player A plays 2 5s, player B plays another 5, and then player C has the third 5, and they play it, player C then gets to sort of burn that pile, and it gets rid of them. So yeah, that's sort of across the board. So those are all the special cards, but just one other rule to mention is in terms of like who plays when and who goes first. So if you have to pick up the pile because you've run out of cards to play, that ends your go and it goes on to the next person. If you yourself burn the deck, so either with playing, the 4th card in a 4 of a kind or using a 10, you then get to basically have another go. And then, play continues after you've had your next go. So that's basically it on general gameplay. In terms of winning and getting down to sort of those final 3 cards at the bottom, That happens when you've gone through kind of the entire pile and there are no cards left. You kind of can't top up your 3 cards anymore. You get rid of them all. You then move down to the pile of cards down there. So what you want to do is you want to start off by using your top 3 cards. And once you've gone through those, you move on to your bottom 3, your kind of hidden cards. You do not turn those around. They stay sort of mysterious, anonymous. Anonymous, is that the right way to put it? They remain sort of secret, I guess, secret cards. And it's not until your actual go that you turn one over, and you're basically doing it blind. So, you know, it will either work in your favour or it doesn't. And it's a really great way to end the game because you could be really close to winning. You could turn around a card and it could work in your favour. It works, you play it, great.
Oh! Jammy!
Or you can turn it over and it doesn't, and then you've got to pick up that pile of cards in the middle.
Oh, God.
And go through those again until you can move back down there. So yeah, it basically sets you back because if you turn a card over that doesn't work and you've got to pick up the cards, you can't then go back to your kind of, you know, 6 cards down at the bottom until you've got through the ones in your hands again. So yeah, that last bit is generally like a real case of luck. Me and my mum had a small debate while playing whether this game is a game of skill or a game of luck. Obviously there's a massive luck element. I think there's lots of skill to it as well, but when you get down to those last 3 cards, it is very, very luck focused. You've got to be telepathic to know what's underneath them. And then of course, once someone has managed to go through all of their cards, they've got rid of the ones in their hand and the 6 down there, then they have won the game and they are not ahead. And the last person left with cards is the head, and you can decide on what punishment you want to give them.
I think you got an A. A 2. Oh. That was a good.
My last one was an A.
That was a really good. That was a good ending.
That was a good ending. Well done, beginner's luck. So that is it. That is how you play Head. I really hope this was sort of helpful and instructional in helping, you know, if anyone wants to learn how to play this game, that this helped. If you already know how to play and you've got any sort of different rules, different cards that you use as special cards, then I'd be interested to know what they are in the comments below. I'm always looking for ways to sort of jazz up the game. But yeah, if you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Please do subscribe to me if you don't already. And I will see you next time. Bye.